She married a wonderful man, she said, and he died. She thought she could never fall in love again, but she did. And this time it even exceeded what she had before. It surprised her. And she thought she'd be spending now the rest of her years, the two of them growing old together. And out of the blue, he died. She was absolutely devastated. She didn't want to have anything to do. It's as if all the colors of the world just went black and white, dull gray. Life no more had any juice to it, nothing. And someone introduced her to spirituality. She'd never known spirituality before. She went to India, and she met a master there, a meditative master, a Sufi. And she didn't have anything to do with him either, because he was a man. But her friend said, he's safe, he's married. You don't have to worry. Still didn't have anything to do with him. So her trip of 2 months wound up being 6 years. And there, she began to open up to something else. But she had to face all her pain because she didn't want to let go of her pain. And you see, that's the last temptation. You will hold on to all the injustices that have been played on you. You will hold on to the resentment. You will remember what everybody did to you. And you think you're justified. You have to let go of that. You have to let go of all the pain. And then you will see what's really there. Spirituality, then, is uneven. Each of you have to choose and compose the map that gets you to the treasure. The treasure's there. But the map always isn't so clear. And sometimes people give you a false map. Not in the sense that it's not valuable, but it's not valuable for you. But you try it out a while and it doesn't work. Okay, put it aside. Don't throw away spirituality. It just means that map doesn't work for you. Parts of it may, so you hang on to that. But this aspiring, this striving, this crying from within, this is what is necessary so that the world opens up and you begin to see how it can lead you on. The people that come into your life, the events that occur, whether they're in the business realm, whether with your family, whether they happen on a vacation, are all part of it. There's never a moment in your life that cannot in some way reveal to you a spark, a sliver, a small chip that you put together to make up the mosaic of this map. Now, in your proceeding, remember that you have a body, you have a mind, and you have a life principle within. You call it your spirit, consciousness, whatever, the soul. How to put those three together in some way? How does the energy operate? No matter what path you choose, you're going to have, I think, at least 6 basic elements that are going to have to be there. And you're going to have to work them into your lifestyle, in your circumstances, with all the responsibilities that comprise your life. First of all, you're going to have to recognize you're going to have to eat a healthy diet. Your body is your food. It's the result of what you've eaten and what you've drunk. Remember that. It changes every 150 days. You got a new one. It's not the same one you had last Christmas. Red blood cells only last 150 days maximally. That's why you can alter the body. You can alter the way you feel. Secondly, your body is structured with muscles. You feel better if you get some exercise. You need to stretch out. Otherwise, you collapse inward as you get older. Getting old is more of a superstition than a fact. Third, you need to appreciate rest. The yin and yang of your life, the action and the rest, have to go together. Don't keep pushing. Don't just keep making lists. Take a break occasionally. Don't think that rest is just sleep. Find a hobby. Find something that you can kind of lose yourself and forget about time, whatever it may be. Find some way to distract yourself from all the responsibilities that you've put upon yourself. That's important, whatever it may be. Finally, too, learn at times to take a break during the day and just let your energy flow properly. Learn to breathe. Around here you'll hear that word a lot. Okay? Learn to take a few breath breaks instead of just coffee breaks. And you'll see the improvement it can bring. Now, we go to the more subtler regions. Attitude. Extremely important. See, the governing gyro in your life that turns you and spins you in all the directions is who you think you are right now. Connected to that is where you think you're going with your identity. Your identity right now is not fixed. It's only what you've imagined it to be. I am Mr. So-and-so, I have this amount of money in the bank account, I do these activities on my free time, these are my relationships, and so on. Yes, but you're much more. And if you don't realize you're much more, then even the things that you already have may become an obstacle to you. You may be clinging to them. Because that's also a temptation as we go along. When we don't have an inside, we cling to the outside. And that's what sets up a pattern of pain. Inevitably, pain will come. Because you see, we're misidentifying our energy. We're assuming that if we build up enough protection on the outside, we've taken care of everything. It doesn't work that way. You may be lucky, but your life is going to become very vapid, empty, stale, eventually. Because there's nothing coming from the most creative source in the world. It's not outside, it's in you. There's something inside you that connects with everything, but in a very mysterious way. If you try to go to everything bypassing the inside, you can't get there. All you get to is the surface. And then you get disenchanted, disappointed, and you get cynical. Finally, you have to recognize that you're called to stillness. There's a still point within you that you have to locate. When I first met Swami Rama in 1972, I had just come back from Europe. I was pretty cocky. I had my degrees. But there was a restlessness in me, and I couldn't understand why. I had a nice job in Chicago, was married, friends, but I was restless. And I didn't even know how to articulate. I was embarrassed about it, so I didn't even tell my wife about it too much. And I couldn't figure out why. And he looked at me, and he says, "You're missing a center." I'll show you how to find that center. It's called meditation. Meditation is quite an adventure. Meditation is really underestimated because, you see, there's no immediate returns. Oh, yes, your blood pressure will go down if it's high, and you'll find a certain amount of reduction of stress. But it takes a while just to sort of settle in and get a feel for it. Then things happen. You see, you and I, as Roy pointed out, the treasure we're looking for, we already have. It dwells within us. But we don't know that, and we're not convinced of that. We read the books, those are nice words, but, you know, I've read nice words before. And to meditate, it means really to take a risk, to really trust in your experience. A lot of people don't want to do that because they have such a narrow confidence in who they think they are. They don't want to trust the experience of that narrowed confidence. And so there's a struggle going on between you and that treasure. It's calling you. You all have the vocation to go to it, in varying degrees. Some of you will, your life, you will find your whole spirituality in action, and you should. But there's always room for a little meditation. Others, you will have to balance it in terms of your creativity. But meditation, remember, touches that life force itself. It puts you into contact with the very source of your being, from which comes all your desires, all your ambitions, all your capacities to enjoy life, to understand the meaning of things. You fell in love with your spouse only because that life force is already full of that love. You choose something in life only because within that life force there is an affinity for it. But how many more affinities do you have? How deep can your affinities become? That's what meditation wants to teach you. And what happens, you see, you begin to shift the focal point of your energy back into yourself instead of out there. Now that has three immediate effects. One, it gives you a new base for security. You no longer have to depend upon the approval of others so much. You don't have to worry about working with those cravings. They begin to just evaporate. You begin to recognize that there's a center within. It's not hollow. It's not empty. It's silent. But there's a power there. And that power can never deplete itself. It never runs out. And thirdly, it enables you then to see through the illusions that are so easy to create about life, the procrastinations, the evasions, the excuses we give ourselves. You know how hard it is to change a habit. You try and you collapse. You try and you collapse. That's all part of your growth. You have to go through those stumblings and those falls. You have to skin your knees. Don't evade that. Go through it. And gradually, as you begin to incorporate meditation, you find that your balance stays a little better. You don't fall quite so easy. You go another day. So when you get past the bakery, and you look upon that and see, my God, death by chocolate, you're able to resist it. Huh? So, you want to transmute your faults. You want to recognize that they were given to you and you developed them, but now you can do something with them. You can put them into a different context whereby they become a source of inspiration and development. You're really made for many kinds of nutrition besides, rice, dal, and vegetables. You have a quest for beauty. You have a quest to see goodness in action, unselfish action. You have a quest for truth, that you know you've got it. You have a quest for meaning. You want things to have a sense of integrity. And you have a quest for freedom. Not to do anything you want, but to realize that freedom is the only environment for you to love. And that's how you tell whether your path makes sense. Ultimately, does it enable you to love better? You feel freer in your love. There's a very interesting connection here between freedom and love. They go together. To love someone, I have to allow them to be free. We can't force it on anybody. We can't demand it in return. Someone does not want to love me. All right. I have to be strong enough to accept that. I have to accept it, too, without any bitterness. There'll be times when friends will disappoint you. And you can't understand it. I've tried to love them. I've tried to give them the freedom, but they still won't respond. Okay. You have to be strong, because other people are going to move into your life. Many things occur, then, in cycles. And you'll see this happening again and again. And you'll look back and you'll think, well, sometimes you look back and you see my whole life is just strewn with mistakes and disappointments and fragilities. Why? As you go within, you begin to see that that was a part of your journey. You had to get through it. It was not meant to be a permanent part. It was simply meant to be an experience whereby you had to grow through that stage and recognize it for what it is. Because you see, you were born naked and you're going to leave naked. There's nothing on this planet that's meant to be permanent in its structure and form. Nothing. You don't need anything. And this is the most mysterious paradox of all. Because the day you cross over that threshold and get into transcendence, you recognize you have everything. The world is yours. That world that you were chasing with such drive and intensity that you were knocking everybody down to get there. You no longer have to do that. And the reason you don't have to is because you realize that you already are in love with the total world. You don't know that now. There's always duality right now. But really you already have. You have a love affair with reality. And that's what spiritual growth is all about. To get the blocks out of the way so you discover that you don't need anyone because you have everyone. Some people are much closer to you because they're on the same path. There's always a recognition of degrees. But more and more as you begin to release the clinging, the selfishness, the narrow-mindedness, the negativity, the self-pitying, then the world says, here I am. I'm ready to help you. And they'll help you because you're not clinging. Swami Rama told me one day, he said, you know, I used to strive so hard to get students because I wanted to have more students than any other yogi in India. The competition again. So I used to do my best to always get it, and I'd have them find out because I could give my list then to anybody who wanted to see how many students I had. And my master used to just shake his head. And he's not learning. So one day, when he had reached the edge and he'd given up, he realized he was no longer interested, but he couldn't understand why he lost his interest in all the students. His master was waiting for that point. That was the day he touched him and shared with him the life force at that intensity. And then he said, two things happened as a result of going into samadhi. He said, one, I lost all my selfishness. I lost all my insecurity. And two, now I had all the students and I didn't need them. And they all followed him then. What happens then as we grow? 1 minute. Please. We get a sense of wholeness. Things start to come back together. But first you got to get broken apart. There's no easy way. Then they come back together in a new sense of integrity. A sense of integrity that gives you a presence so that other people, when they meet you, are touched by you. Because your life force touches them with no strings attached. Thanks.